And this week on Sales Made Simple, Mr. Mark Eggerding and Richard Vickers here. Mark, taste first, sell later. Let's talk about this secret psychology behind sampling.
Yeah, Richard, once upon a time, I asked a room of top-selling food service sales professionals inside of US Foods, how many of you ever walked into a Costco just to pick up a few things and walked out with $200 worth of groceries you didn't plan on buying? Well, guess what?
Oh.
Every hand went up, every single one. Why? Because the moment you taste something, your brain changes. As a result, sampling is more than a strategy, Richard. It's actual psychology.
Mark, I thought it was just me going to Costco with my 22-year-old daughter, but evidently it's more than that. Because in food service, we're in that business of belief, and nothing creates belief faster than an experience. You can talk about probably quality all day long, and you can throw around a few buzzwords like premium and chef crafted and locally sourced and all of those cute little phrases, which are great, don't get me wrong. But the moment somebody tastes it and they love it, they don't just believe you, they believe in that product because now they've tasted it, right?
Yeah, for sure. So let's break this down a little bit, Richard. Taste, psychologically, breaks down the wall of skepticism. Every customer walks into a purchasing decision with invisible walls. Those invisible walls are doubt, indecision, and risk aversion. So in a crowded food service market like where we live, our product is one of dozens vying for attention. And our customers on some levels have, always said, we've heard this all before. But what they haven't felt is the taste or the flavor. So that moment of surprise and satisfaction, that involuntary smile, that raised eyebrow, or holy cow, that was good. So sampling skips the debate and goes straight to the senses, Richard, which is how our body reacts psychologically. It creates an emotional shortcut. In fact, in neuroscience, this is called a pattern interrupt. One of the things we always try to have happen in a prospect call is interrupt that prospect's brain pattern. And suddenly the customer isn't just comparing SKUs or crunching margins or looking at a sheet of paper with numbers on it. They're remembering now, Richard, after tasting something, how that made them feel. So all of a sudden you're connecting emotionally. So here's a little serving tip on Sales Made Simple. If you're not sampling and getting your customers tasting, then you're relying strictly on logic. And we all know in selling, people don't buy with logic. They buy with emotion, and then they justify it with logic. So a little taste of something, Richard, can completely change the sales call.
Mark, and number two, sampling transforms literally you from a seller to being that partner with them. And Mark, I know you remember that classic sales book, that #1 bestseller on the New York Times best-selling list, the selling book that sold out time and time again. I'm talking about Dr. Seuss, Green Eggs and Ham. I think that's the #1 food selling book in the world, because when you offer that taste, you're not just handing out food, you're saying, try it, no pressure. I believe in it enough to let the product speak for itself. I will not eat them in a box. I will not eat them with a fox. But all of a sudden that changes, Mark, once you get it in their mouth, because it's a powerful move. It changes the dynamic, and you're not pushing them. You're inviting them. You're not closing. You're co-creating an experience with that customer. This kind of service-first posture builds trust faster than 1,000 data points or data sheets. It puts the customer at the center of the sale. And trust me, if they trust your food, they'll trust in your partnership with you.
Yeah, Richard, I love that for sure. And serving tip number 2 today on Sales Made Simple is never just drop off a sample. You have to taste the product with them. You have to
Yeah.
watch their reactions. You have to ask what they think. You have to let them feel seen in the process, Richard, and be engaged with them, because the real magic, it's not in the bite of food, it's in the bonding that happens
Yeah.
afterwards. So sampling, Richard, number 3, creates stories, and stories, we all know, drive sales. So have you ever had a customer tell you about their product? Oh man, that Nashville hot chicken you had me try, I gave it to the bartender on shift that night and he loved it so much. We ran it as a special that very night. Sold out by 7 p.m. Well, that's not a transaction, that's a testimony. And testimonies turn into loyalty. Sampling then creates those moments worth talking about. And when people talk, your product grows legs. It moves, it spreads throughout the entire restaurant. So it's not a singular activity. It actually has a life of its own, which is pretty cool. A simple
Yeah.
sample, Richard.
That's exactly right. And like you said, Mark, stories, they will take you much further than your selling skills. And here's the serving tip. After a tasting, always ask, hey, who else should try this? Get it into more hands or more mouths. And every taste is a seed, and you never know which one will bloom into your biggest sale, because sampling slows down the sales process. And Mark, that's not a bad thing, is it?
No, certainly it's not a bad thing. In fact, in sales, we're taught to what? Go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Let's put our foot on the accelerator and move fast. But in food service, slow sells better.
Hmm.
When you invite someone to stop, take a bite, savor a flavor, you're engaging more than their palate, you're engaging their presence. And that creates a break in their day, allows them to take a breath, and it gives them a space for building a relationship. And that's where trust grows, Richard, as you mentioned. And once trust is planted, it rarely leaves. And that is the secret sauce, if you will, for selling.
That's so
So,
good.
another serving tip for today: sampling isn't just about product velocity and extra case sales, it's about emotional velocity. When you connect emotionally to a customer, when a buyer feels like you're taking care of them, they'll move faster themselves because you now slowed things down and they ultimately want to speed it up. Kind of works in reverse, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, reverse psychology. I was just thinking that same thing. Mark, you and I were having this conversation today, this morning, about confidence. It really comes from contact. And here's the truth: you can't expect a customer to sell your product if they haven't tasted it themselves. And you wouldn't recommend a movie you haven't watched, right? I've never, ever recommended a movie. Hey, Mark, go see this movie. And if I haven't watched it myself, confidence comes from contact. So when your buyer's chef, server, or general manager experiences the product firsthand, they start to carry that confidence to their guests. And when the guests respond positively, the loop kind of closes the sale, and the next thing you know, your sales start to climb. And sampling is that spark that ignites true belief.
So I wonder if there's a reason, Richard, that Costco, Sam's Club, multiple retail grocers across the
For
country,
sure.
even restaurateurs still use sampling as a tactic for growing sales. I think you just proved the point. So the final word today, Richard, on Sales Made Simple is taste is trust. In fact, the best salespeople I know, Richard, they don't sell at all. They serve. They believe in their product so deeply, they can't wait for somebody else to taste it and try it.
And Mark, I can only think of, in today's market, attention is so short. Competition definitely is fierce. And loyalty, it seems like, is rare. But a great taste, that is unforgettable. That's that stickiness we talk about. And really, it's that secret weapon. And even though I hate that term, it's true. It's the secret weapon that most sellers they probably overlook.
Yeah, so here's a quick little challenge for everybody listening in this week, Richard. Maybe we have some fun all across the country. So let's commit to not selling another new SKU until someone tastes it. So slow down, show up, serve with a smile like we always do, and let the product do the talking, because once they taste it, they're already halfway to saying, yes, I'll take it. Send me more.
This week on Sales Made Simple, taste first, sell later. Mark Eggerding sharing with us the secret philosophy and psychology behind simple sampling. I think I will eat it in a house. I might eat it with a mouse. I might eat your product all over town because you've sampled it with us. Thanks for listening.